I want to use container items to make the board look nicer. Fundamentals. Hello. Yumi here. This time I'm going to create this section while introducing some basic container operations. While creating this section, I'll be sharing some of my tips and tricks for using containers for those of you who are just starting to use containers or those who might not be so good at editing containers. It will be easier to imagine the benefits of using containers if you watch the container introduction video, so please do watch it. Alright then. Here are the items and board I'll be using. I'll be using layout mode to create the board. To create the same board as our target board, first, I set the background color of each item to the same color. Right away, there's already a problem. The layout's partition lines show up white. This is because the background color of the board itself is still visible. You can set the background color of the board in Board Management, Board, Color Set. You can choose the line type of the layout partition here. The default setting is no line. But it's actually better to think that the partition lines haven't actually disappeared, but have just become transparent. That means, if you set the placed item to any other color aside from white, you'll see the board background show up behind the transparent partition line. If that's the case, I thought, why not make the background color of the entire board the same color as the background of each item? I actually tried it out. The search conditions section looks good, but the rest of the board would look better completely white. A container is just the thing for such situations. Let's prepare a container to store the items. Alright, let's stop here for a bit. This is number 1 of Yumi's tips and tricks, how to identify containers. First, let's find out how container items are represented on the screen during editing. Container items appear darker to make it easier for you to distinguish them from other items in Edit Layout mode. The light part over here are the normal partitions while the dark part over here is the container. I'll use the same operation to create partitions within the container. Being able to identify containers will make editing and reviewing board composition a lot smoother, so I think it's definitely worth learning. Let's move on. I'll make a partition within the container and put the items in it. All you need to do is click on the items and drag and drop them to the container. Do the same to remove items from a container. Once I've moved all the items, I'll delete the original layout partitions. I'll then move the container to the cleared partition. Alright then. Let's stop for a bit here. This is number 2 of Yumi's tips and tricks, how to move a container to a partition. This is where the control key comes in. To move a container from one partition to another, hold down the control key while performing the operation. At this point, we should also know how to determine if a container itself can be moved. If you move the mouse cursor without holding down the control key in Edit Layout mode, you can select each partition within a container. Right now, you can move the items within the container. Next, I'll try moving the mouse cursor while holding down the control key. Can you see that the entire container partitions have been selected? You can see the markers here. The plus signs on the top, bottom, left, and right of the partitions. If the container itself is selected, this mark will be displayed on the top, bottom, left, and right sides of the container. Once it's like this, you can move the container to another partition. Once I've moved it to a good spot, I'll add some margins to balance it out. You can choose a single color or a transparent background for the container. If I set the background color to the same color as the items stored in the container, alright. It's finished. I think containers are not only useful for organizing items, but they are also quite handy when designing boards. In this video, I introduced the fundamentals of containers, but next time I'll share even more detailed information about them. For example, placing images or a gradient behind the container if you want to use an image or a gradient effect as a container's background. What do I mean by behind? Let's save that topic for next time. Various ideas make materials come alive. Let's motion board.